long before custom-fitted clubs, luxury timepieces, or shares in PGA Tour enterprises. He was slipping to the fences at Royal Birkdale, just a kid sneaking onto a course he didn't belong to, chasing stolen swings in the early morning fog. He didn't come from a golf academy. He didn't have big-name sponsors backing him before he could drive. And for a while, a lot of people figured Tommy Fleetwood just wasn't going to make it past the first cut. But people started seeing things differently. Once turned away from courses for not fitting the mold, he's now the only golfer in PGA Tour history to earn tens of millions of dollars without ever winning a single tournament. Tommy Fleetwood turned limited resources into his greatest competitive advantage. So how does a man with no PGA Tour trophies and no silver spoon earn the respect of golf's highest circles in a high-dollar game? Is it money or pure grit that truly wins in the end? Today, we explore the extraordinary rise of Tommy Fleetwood, the most quietly compelling player in the game, the boy who always found a way onto the course. Tommy Paul Fleetwood was born on January 19, 1991, in Southport, a breezy coastal town sitting between Liverpool and Blackpool in Merseyside, England. To the people who call it home, Southport means salty air, golden fish and chips, and legendary links golf. None more iconic than Royal Birkdale, a course that has hosted the Open Championship time and again. For young Tommy, it wasn't just a local landmark. It was where his biggest dreams first took shape. But getting close to those dreams meant sneaking in just to feel the fairway beneath his feet. Tommy didn't hold a Royal Birkdale membership. He didn't have elite coaching or access to the kind of training facilities that kids from wealthy families enjoyed. Instead, he and his father, Pete Fleetwood, would quietly slip on the grounds the crack of dawn, finding loose fence sections or unguarded entry points, hoping to get in a few swings on a hole no one was using yet. No formal coaching, no fanfare, just a dad, a son, some worn-out clubs, and a whole lot of greens stretching out ahead of them. Pete wasn't a teaching professional. He was a regular dad who believed in learning by doing, and who never tried to stifle his son's wonder. He didn't push Tommy into structured drills or expensive programs. He just stood beside him while Tommy figured out, swing by swing, what they were doing wasn't wrong. It just wasn't permitted. And maybe that's exactly what made it feel so meaningful. Every stolen moment was earned with heart. Tommy would later talk about sitting through cold Southport nights in his bedroom, rewatching clips of Seve Ballesteros, the creative Spaniard who played with pure flair and soul. There were no private lessons, no digital swing analyzers, just a mirror to check his grip, and tennis balls when golf balls ran short. While other kids in town were chasing soccer goals, Tommy was obsessed with the arc of a perfect draw shot rising into a gray English sky. He wasn't behind. He was just chasing something different. His childhood didn't lack anything that mattered. It was filled with grit, authenticity, and a hunger that simply refused to quit, even when no one was watching. By 2009, Tommy had won the Scottish Amateur Stroke Play title. A year later, he claimed the English Amateur Championship, the most prestigious amateur title in England, and reached the #1 amateur ranking in the world. But for Pete Fleetwood, the real victory wasn't any of those trophies. It was watching his son walk through Royal Birkdale's front gate with his name printed on the official entry list. In August 2010, Tommy Fleetwood turned professional. And for those who had witnessed the foggy early mornings, the quiet practice sessions, and the relentless belief, this moment wasn't a leap. It was a natural result of everything that came before. From a course he once had to sneak into at sunrise, Tommy Fleetwood began his mission to take on the world. When Tommy turned pro in August 2010, there were no fireworks, no packed press conferences, no headlines. Just a 19-year-old kid quietly betting on himself. It was the end of his amateur career and the beginning of something much bigger, though nobody outside of Southport knew it yet. Less than a year later, Fleetwood won the Kazakhstan Open on the Challenge Tour. It wasn't broadcast to millions. It wasn't played in front of roaring stadium crowds. But it changed everything. That win earned him the Challenge Tour's Player of the Year and a full card on the European Tour. Back home in Southport, Pete Fleetwood pulled up the winning putt on an old desktop computer and invited the neighbors over to watch it. The pixelated footage didn't dim the moment one bit. It was their version of lifting a major championship trophy. No stage lights required. In 2013, Tommy picked up his first European Tour win at the Johnny Walker Championship, coming through a nerve-wracking playoff. What followed, though, was a stretch of relative quiet. His name didn't dominate the leaderboard, and some people began to wonder if he'd ever break into the tier occupied by players like Rory McIlroy. While Rory basked in global stardom, Tommy hovered steadily inside the world's top 30, reliable, respected, and rarely controversial. The knock on him among golf's elite was simple. Maybe he was just too easygoing to seize the big moments. Then came 2017. That year changed everything. He won the Abu Dhabi HSBC Championship, followed by a title at the Open of France, and capped the season by topping the race to Dubai standings. He outperformed Sergio Garcia, Justin Rose, and Henrik Stenson, and proved something important. You can dominate a full season without needing to chase the spotlight. If Rory McIlroy played under a blinding spotlight, Tommy Fleetwood was a steady glow, a light that never blinded but never faded either. In 2018, he nearly won the U.S. Open, firing a stunning 63 in one of the finest rounds ever played in a major. But in the end, he fell one stroke short of Brooks Koepka. A year later, he was runner-up again, this time at the Open Championship. Twice he stood within reach of history. Neither result broke his stride. Tommy kept pressing forward, as if he understood that the journey itself, not the trophy, was where the real meaning lived. For many fans, his most unforgettable moment came at the 2018 Ryder Cup. Paired with Francesco Molinari, the two became virtually unstoppable, sweeping all four of their team matches. Their joyful embrace in Paris went viral, celebrated across every corner of social media. But even in the middle of all that applause, Tommy said very little. He just smiled quietly and headed back to the range like it was another ordinary Tuesday. At the 2024 Paris Olympics, he earned a silver medal, finishing just behind world number 1 Scottie Scheffler. Asked afterward about the moment, Tommy replied simply, "Well, I have a medal and I have the proud look of my son watching me on the podium for the first time." The world could see tears in his eyes, not from losing, but from something much deeper. That medal, to him, wasn't about second place. It was about family, meaning, and a memory that would last a lifetime. Now, in 2025, Tommy Fleetwood continues to compete, still searching for his first PGA Tour victory. With over 149 starts and more than $25 million in earnings, he remains winless on American soil and holds a rare distinction as the most successful PGA Tour golfer to never claim a single win. Yet almost nobody calls him unsuccessful, because to the people who follow him, trophies have never been the whole story. What makes Tommy Fleetwood compelling is something harder to measure: his steady, graceful, endlessly hopeful presence. His swing flows like a quiet verse, and fans keep asking the same question: is the next one fine going to be it? Tommy Fleetwood doesn't live in a Beverly Hills mansion. You won't catch him snapping up private islands, collecting Italian sports cars, or showing off diamond-encrusted watches. In an era when professional golf can feel like one long luxury showcase, Fleetwood carries himself more like someone who wandered in from a meditation retreat. And somehow that's exactly what makes his version of success so interesting. By mid-2025, Fleetwood had earned more than $25 million through PGA Tour prize money and close to $33 million from a European tour, on top of sponsorship deals with Nike, TaylorMade, BMW, Tag Heuer, and NetJets, plus representing Omega at select events. Reliable estimates from sources like Forbes and Golf Digest place his net worth somewhere between $15 and $20 million. But you'll never find him posed next to a private jet or climbing out of a flashy supercar. That's just not who he is. The Fleetwood family makes their home in Dubai, one of the most extravagant cities on the planet. But their lifestyle might surprise you. There are no gold-trimmed penthouses or palatial rooftop villas overlooking the marina. They live inside the Jumeirah Golf Estates, a quiet residential community surrounding 2 championship-level courses. Their home is a modern, understated 2-story villa with a small pool and a private garden, built for sunlight and calm, not social media content. His wife, Claire, who also manages his career, put it plainly in one interview: "We don't buy things for the price tag. We buy what helps Tommy stay focused on what really matters, his game." Even his car reflects that approach. Fleetwood drives a BMW X7 M60iX Drive, the premium SUV provided through his auto partnership. The interior is fitted to his taste. Rich brown merino leather, warm with accents, nothing over the top. It's not about flash. It's about comfort after a long day on the range. He once represented Omega, the Swiss luxury watchmaker, but later moved to a Tag Heuer Connected Golf Edition smartwatch, a model with GPS layouts for thousands of courses and detailed swing tracking data. While other athletes flaunt six-figure mechanical timepieces, Tommy wears a sub-$2 500 smartwatch that helps him refine his game down to wrist angle. Function over fashion every time. But perhaps his savviest move had nothing to do with gadgets or gear. In 2024, as the PGA Tour launched PGA Tour Enterprises, its commercial response to the rise of LIV Golf, Fleetwood quietly signed on as a founding shareholder, positioning himself for a cut of future revenue. No media blitz. No fiery public statements. No picking sides in a war. When the official shareholder list became public, his name appeared right alongside industry heavyweights like Rory McIlroy and Patrick Cantlay. Only then did fans realize that Tommy's quiet, measured approach wasn't passivity. It was a perfectly timed strategic play, and perhaps the rarest luxury Tommy Fleetwood enjoys. One that even enormous wealth can't always buy is time. He's well known for skipping tournaments that fall on his wife's birthday or conflict with his son's school schedule. If an event feels less essential to him personally, he won't hesitate to withdraw and go home. Every year, he blocks off 2 full weeks at the end of the season to completely unplug. No tournaments, no media obligations, just family, golf for fun and peace. Tommy Fleetwood isn't out building corporate empires or chasing the spotlight. You won't find him flashing status symbols or quoting his earnings. But somehow, he commands attention anyway, because in a world obsessed with look at me, his quiet stillness speaks the loudest. Some chase admiration with a fat wallet. Tommy Fleetwood earns it by never needing to open his. Back in 2015, Tommy Fleetwood met Claire Craig for the first time. At the time, Claire was serving as CEO of Hamburg Sport Management, the agency Tommy had just signed with. Their first interaction was purely professional, a business meeting. Claire was 23 years older than Tommy, a divorced single mother raising 2 sons. Tommy, just 24 at the time, was only beginning to step into the public eye. When Tommy eventually told Claire how he felt about her, she turned him down, not from a lack of feeling, but out of concern about their age difference, their different life stages, and what the outside world might think. Tommy didn't push. He stayed close, remained patient, and simply showed up whenever Claire needed quiet support. Their bond grew not from pressure, but from consistent presence. Later that same year, Claire let herself lean into the connection. They began dating privately, keeping things out of press, not because they were hiding anything, but because Tommy wanted their relationship to develop naturally, separate from the professional dynamic they already shared. He didn't think love needed an audience. After his 2017 win at the Open de France, Tommy went public with the relationship. Later that year, the couple got married in a low-key ceremony in the Bahamas. No crowds, no spectacle, just family, close friends, and the sound of waves. Fresh off a tournament appearance, Tommy made a spontaneous decision to go ahead with the wedding. No elaborate production, no camera crews, just Claire's glowing smile and an island sunset. That same year, their son Franklin, nicknamed Frankie, was born. Tommy skipped the British Masters to be present in the delivery room. To him, being there when his child came into the world meant more than any championship. It permanently reshaped what victory meant to him. From that point forward, the 3 of them traveled everywhere as a family unit. Claire stepped into multiple roles, not only as Tommy's wife, but as a strategic mind behind his schedule, contracts, and public appearances. When someone once asked Tommy in an interview whether it ever felt like added pressure to have his wife managing his career, he just smiled and said, "If I didn't trust her, I wouldn't love her." By 2024, Claire's older son Oscar Craig had begun competing in amateur golf tournaments. The person who first carried his bag on the course? Tommy himself. Watching a Ryder Cup veteran caddy for his stepson is the kind of moment that quietly outshines any trophy. The 23-year age gap between Tommy and Claire has never created distance between them. If anything, it's deepened what makes their relationship unique. In a world where celebrity couples often fade after a headline or two, Tommy's commitment reads like one of his signature golf swings, measured, elegant, and delivered with perfect timing. Tommy Fleetwood has never been one to court controversy or stir up drama. For someone who plays a game with such precision and respect, even a misread comment can invite unnecessary speculation. That said, no career in professional sports is entirely without its complicated moments. His first real brush with the rulebook didn't happen on the PGA Tour. It happened in Argentina in 2010, when Tommy was still competing as an amateur. Heavy rain had forced organizers to announce a lift, clean, and replace rule, meaning players could pick up their ball, clean it, and place it back in the exact same spot. But Tommy and his close friend Eddie Pepperell misheard the announcement as lift, clean, and place, believing they were allowed to move the ball to a nearby spot with a better lie. The result? Both players were disqualified for a rules violation. Eddie would later recall the story with a mix of laughter and lingering embarrassment. It wasn't cheating. There was no deception involved, just a straightforward miscommunication. But in a sport built on personal integrity and self-reporting, the mistake weighed heavily on Tommy for years, long after the rest of the world had moved on. Years later, now a celebrated Ryder Cup star, Tommy found himself at the center of another brief online debate. During the 2025 Charles Schwab Challenge, he drained what appeared to be a 30-foot birdie putt on the final hole. The ball came to rest on the lip of the cup and sat still. Tommy approached. A breeze shifted. The ball eventually dropped in. The crowd went wild. Then came the slow-motion replays on social media. Had he waited too long? Did the 10-second rule get violated? The referee on site quickly ruled the putt valid, but whispers spread online regardless. Tommy offered no rebuttal, no tweet, no statement. He walked calmly into media tent, smiled, and said, "Rules are rules. I can't control the wind, only how I respond to it." Then there was a smaller, more human moment. A verbal slip that left him briefly red-faced on live television. During a 2023 Ryder Cup interview with the BBC, Tommy was asked about his captain, Luke Donald, in an attempt at a lighthearted compliment. He blurted out a British slang term that, without context, landed awkwardly on air. He caught himself almost immediately, clarified what he meant, and apologized on the spot. No real offense was taken. But for someone who holds himself to such a high personal standard, that one clumsy second stuck with him far longer than any headline it generated. In golf, the scandal often isn't in genuine wrongdoing. Sometimes it's simply in falling short of the image people have built around you. And for Tommy Fleetwood, even minor stumbles are remembered, not because they define him, but because they reveal just how much he cares about getting things right. By 2025, Tommy Fleetwood had accumulated more than $25 million in PGA Tour earnings and $33 million from the European Tour. He collected 10 professional victories, finished runner-up twice in major championships at the 2018 U.S. Open and the 2019 Open Championship, and stood proudly on the Olympic podium in Paris with a silver medal. Among his peers, he's often described as the unofficial heart of Europe's Ryder Cup team, thanks to legendary partnerships with Francesco Molinari in 2018 and Rory McIlroy in 2023. And yet, one curious stat continues to follow him everywhere. He has never won on the PGA Tour, despite competing in well over 140 events on American soil. For most golfers, that would feel like a weight too heavy to carry. For Tommy, it has never seemed to diminish how the world views him. If anything, it's made his presence more respected, because his legacy doesn't live in the win column. It lives somewhere deeper. You find it, for example, in a quiet town called Formby, just a short drive from his hometown of Southport. In 2019, Tommy established the Tommy Fleetwood Golf Academy, not just a place to learn swing mechanics, but a full learning hub for underserved youth. Kids from struggling families are invited to learn the game completely free of charge. Since opening in 2020, the Academy has helped more than 800 young people, hosted over 40 community events, and funded scholarships for rising talent across Northwest England. Several of those students have gone on to college golf programs. Some have earned spots on the national amateur team, His reach extends well beyond England. As a global ambassador for Laureate Sport for Good, he travels across Europe, Africa, and the Middle East, raising money, mentoring kids at summer camps, and speaking out for children living in war-affected regions. People who attended a Ghana camp in 2022 still talk about the sight of a Ryder Cup veteran kneeling in the sand beside a young boy, showing him how to hold a golf club with steady hands. During the darkest stretch of the COVID-19 pandemic, while tournaments were suspended and many players stepped back from public view, Tommy and Claire quietly provided financial support to freelance caddies, the invisible backbone of professional golf. No press release, no ask for recognition, just quiet, direct action. Winning a trophy earns you a nameplate. Touching people's lives earns you something that lasts much longer. He has nearly everything: the wealth, the admiration, the reputation. But one thing still eludes him: a PGA Tour championship. Between 2010 and 2025, Fleetwood has teed it up in more than 140 PGA Tour events, racked up countless top 5 and top 10 finishes, and banked over $25 million in prize money. But the victory column remains empty on American soil. In most sports, that narrative will be framed as a failure to close. In golf, where a single shot, a single bounce, a single gust of wind to decide everything, it's actually a testament to extraordinary consistency and resilience. In 2024, he came within inches of winning the Canadian Open, narrowly losing in a playoff. Then in the spring of 2025, he lit up Colonial Country Club at the Charles Schwab Challenge, nearly draining a 30-footer on 18 to seal the deal. Once again, the title stayed just out of reach. But Fleetwood never looks to blame fortune. He retools. Following the 2025 Masters, he made meaningful equipment adjustments, bringing in a TaylorMade Chi 35 mini driver and swapping his putter for a Spider Tour X with refined alignment technology. On the surface, subtle changes. For Tommy, they were a clear declaration: I'm not done getting better. He also reworked his tournament schedule, putting greater emphasis on the Florida swing, events like the Arnold Palmer Invitational, the Players' Championship, Valspar, and the Travelers' Championship. These are courses where he has flirted with wins more than once. One of them, eventually, figures to be the one that breaks through. And looming ahead is Bethpage Black, host of the 2025 Ryder Cup. Fleetwood isn't among the automatic selections just yet, but his consistent results this season make him very difficult to leave off the team. The last time he appeared, paired with Rory McIlroy in the fan favorite Fleetwood Mac pairing, the two dominated the American side. Fans are already hoping for a sequel, one that doesn't just entertain, but finally provides some closure to a long, compelling chase. Away from the traditional tour, Tommy has also invested in TGL, the Tech Golf League, a high-tech format played in indoor arenas with next-generation course simulation. He's not just a competitor in the league. He's on the board, helping shape what elite golf looks like in the years ahead. TGL is a signal that Tommy Fleetwood's influence on the sport will extend well past his playing days. Some athletes reach greatness in a single brilliant burst. Others, like Tommy Fleetwood, choose the steady path, building something that doesn't need fireworks to endure. And maybe that defining moment on the PGA Tour is closer than anyone thinks. Though Tommy Fleetwood has yet to claim a PGA Tour title, he has achieved something far rarer: a career built on resilience, anchored in family, and admired by the entire global golf community. He doesn't need silverware to leave a mark on this sport. He just needs to keep doing what he has always done: showing up, competing with grace, and letting the game speak for itself. Because in golf, not every victory comes with a scorecard. Sometimes it's the way the whole world holds its breath, waiting for your next swing.